Hello, welcome. I am so excited to have on the one and only Chris James, Program Creation Specialist of Chris M. James. And I'm excited to have her on because how long have we worked together, Chris?
Since for a few years now.
Yeah, it's been a few years. I can't believe it. It's just gone so fast. And so I have her on today to talk about her experience working with me in my business, Desk Plant Creatives, with her email copywriting endeavors for her own business. So if you could start out, Chris, first of all, thank you for being here. I know you are busy and I really appreciate the time you're taking out to do this with me. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so what I do is I actually help women that have earned six figures in their business, and they have a level of expertise that they're usually the go-to woman, and I help them brand and build out their program around their expertise so they can start selling a program and start bringing additional income into their second business. So the first business, they might have been a therapist, an author. I help them develop a proprietary framework, and then they teach it, through not just one program, but through multiple programs. And then they build that revenue stream up in their second business.
Yeah, I think that's such I think you provide such a great service. We've also been collaborating together. And I know you really provide so much value for your clients. So
Thank you.
I was gonna ask you next, like how long you've been a client of mine, but we kind of already went through that. It's been I think 3 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of like the way that we met. So I wanted to go into that a little bit on how did you find me?
Yes. So I think it's so funny how I found you. So I would say I was on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna let you tell your part of that story. So I'm not gonna dig too far into that. But I was on LinkedIn, and as a copywriter, you were the only one. I knew that was the stage of business that I needed. I had this freebie. Now I was like, I need help with the copywriting, and I seen your first of all, I love plants. So even though I cannot keep any alive at all, but I do love plants. I love the growth. It provides so much value. So I seen that. But what I really love is that you had your picture up. You weren't like hiding behind like just a regular photo stock. You actually had your picture on there. You were warm and welcoming. And then I was like, let me reach out to her. And I was like, I think she'll be awesome. And then we started talking. Then I was like, yes, we got on a discovery call. And then after that, like it's literally present day from that conversation.
Yes, I thank you for sharing that. I think it's just so amazing because from my side of the story, I literally had just maybe 3 to 5 days before you found me on LinkedIn. I had revamped my LinkedIn profile from a training that I took who specializes in LinkedIn visibility and optimizing LinkedIn as an entrepreneur. And so I followed her training and I revamped my profile and I'm thinking like, is this gonna work? And you literally just popped into my messenger and said, "Hey, I found you on LinkedIn. I love your profile, can we hop on a call and talk?" And I was like, "What?" It's just I just love it when those kind of things happen. So I'm so glad that we were able to connect through LinkedIn and now here we are.
Yes.
So we're gonna get into uh uh, let me look at my questions here. Okay, what is everything that I do for you in your business?
Yes. So what you do is essentially so me as a client, and then I've also brought Joanne on to collaborate with other clients that have earned multiple six figures in their business as well. And I trust Joanne. Like she really does the research. She really understands the brand and the tone of the client, which they're like literally in tears, like, oh my gosh, this sounds like me. Like, and so what you do for me and for the clients as well is that you storytell so beautifully. Your words really paint a picture, and it gets to the point. It's not like a rambling, and it's a really clear, it tells a story, it builds up where you want to see the next email. So a lot of the clients, they got so much feedback about the emails getting sent out, they're like, wow, I didn't even know this about you, you know. And so it was really awesome to experience that as a client perspective, and then also collaborating with having Joanne collaborate with me with my clients as well. And it's just beautiful. Like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that the value is going to be added, because that's the biggest thing, you know, as business owners. We get stuck like, well, what kind of value? I mean, sometimes I even struggle with that, even though I know I bring a lot of value. It's like, how can I share that? And Joanne really helps brainstorm that. And it's really beautiful because ChatGPT helps with just like kind of listing things, but like you really need someone like Joanne to really bounce ideas, help you walk through the process where you want to go, and it's so valuable. Like, it's priceless, really. But yes, going through the email sequence, I've experienced that. We've, you know, people who had clients sign up for master classes, they have people sign up to work with them, and you bring just another level of organization when it comes to copywriting and sharing the value through the storytelling aspect. So I hope that answered your question, but it's so much that you do that is so valuable that you just can't, like, people try to put little pieces together and it's like a Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein's monster, you know?
Yes.
And it's like when you come in, everything flows, it streamlines, and everything looks unified, it's branded, the tone matches, you know, where we're trying to go. And that's so important, instead of looking like, oh, you said this, but you really, you know, all your brand says this. You bring that extra layer of alignment.
Yeah, I'm glad you had mentioned one, like kind of bringing it to life, like bringing the content to life. And that's what I absolutely love doing, is taking the marketing content that I like to think of as 2D. It's like flat, and then bringing the weaving the storytelling in, weaving in the brand values is what gives it like depth and dimension. And that's when people start engaging with the emails and replying back and saying, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that about you," or, "Oh, wow, I really resonate with what you're saying right there. Like that is me right there." And so thank you for mentioning that, because that is what I absolutely love doing. And also the piece of what you're saying is the streamlining, which is my teacher side, is guiding from point A to point B, to like, how are we creating that journey? How are we curating that journey for them? So
Mhm.
thank you so much. So what were you doing before working with me?
So what I was doing before working with you, I was coaching. So I did more like life. I still love life coaching and mindset, and like people building relationships with their families. Like, I'm still passionate about that. And so I was doing that before. And then I started to really learn more about, and that's how our business grows, right? I started learning more about like the business side, and I fell in love with business. I was like, hey, this is really just, everyone's a scientist. Like, we just observe the problem. Every business is here to solve a problem. I want my, you know, business to solve a problem. And so when you came on, I was right in between. I think I shifted like a year in, or like I shifted like 2 years in, I believe. And so what happened was, when you first came in, we built it from the lead magnet, and you know, it's also known as a freebie, but a lead magnet to grow my email list. But I was already had people on my email list from making phone calls and doing discovery calls as well. So that just helped, that extra layer of nurturing, to where the person that didn't book, I ended up booking like 2 or 3 clients with the email sequence, like right after that. And that happened with like, I want to say within 6 weeks. It didn't take the whole email sequence to do that. And then I shifted. Now I work with women that have, you know, had business success, or they teach a type of framework. And now that's where I am now. And then that's when I was like, Joanne would be a perfect person. I'm like, trust me, you want Joanne. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to add Joanne into my packages. And then from there, you know, we've been working with clients together too.
Yeah, yeah. And I have loved working within your client process as well. And I do have to say, like, Chris, you are a brilliant mindset coach, because I remember when we first started working together and we were creating your welcome nurture email sequence, and you were sharing, I was asking, your expertise and what kind of value we can provide in the emails. And I just felt like you were blowing my mind every few minutes with what you were saying about whatever mindset, whatever mindset shift that you wanted your clients and community to have. I was just having the same thing on our calls together. I was going, that's brilliant. So I do want to speak to that piece of the mindset, which I think you really bring on into your program creation packages now. And I think that's such a huge value to your clients as well, because there's the systems piece, there's the tech, there's the strategy, and then there's the mindset. And that is something that is so important to keep moving forward and to be able to have, the premium high prices. So with all that to say, what have been like the benefits of working with me?
All of it, like all the benefits. The biggest thing is, like I said, having that I know this is a like a quote where people are like, oh, it's just bouncing things off the wall. You're not a wall. But you allow that space where you're asking questions, we're talking things out. You're like, I wonder if it was like this. The biggest thing we already know every client deals with is niching down. They want to help everybody, and we're like, no, you have to niche down. And then to have your level of expertise to say the same thing to confirm, they're like, yeah, I know. So it just confirms them and kind of helps them just say, yes, I'm gonna, with confidence, yes, I'm gonna niche down. The temptation is like, oh, I'm not gonna make any sales. And then they want to go all over the place. But when you ask those powerful questions through your strategy call, it's so vital to part of the program too, the development, because they can see how things are aligning with each other. So that's a huge benefit, where it's an extra mind that thinks things out. You have a different history exposure. Same thing. I love when I first met you, you said that you were used to be a teacher, and then you just love copywriting. You were already doing it, and then you're just like, yeah, I just really wanted to, do this as a business. And so I think that level of expertise coming over is absolutely brilliant. The other benefit too is that I can count on you. You deliver on time. Like a lot of times you even deliver early, but you deliver on time when you say the window. You're open for revisions and feedback, and then you're open to just kind of breaking down. And you're very calm when we're developing programs and we're developing, like the tech thing is not working or something is not, connecting the back end. That can create a level of you sound like Batman, for a while, because you're like, first you're like, I'm just so calm, and then like Batman comes out of nowhere. But with that being said, you give a level of calmness to the process as well. And so the client needs that. So we're calm with the client. They're already like, oh, and we're walking them through the process, which everyone goes through the same cycle. That's not unique to you, but it's the same cycle. And you bring that extra level of calm. And I feel like that's a huge benefit, especially in a place where it's like, you gotta grind. And it's like, no, you can still get things done in a healthy time frame. It doesn't have to be that aggressiveness. And you give that softness to it. Just like you said, you're a nurturer 100%. So you can feel that. And especially if you're someone that's like, I gotta go. You need that. You need that part of the project. You need that part of your team partnership, is to have someone else that's calm and is like, yeah, we're gonna get there. And they can see it too. So I feel like those are all benefits. So check, check, check. We're working together. So I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, I think that's why I named my business Desk Plant Creatives, because it brings that, just like, if I feel like when you got plants in the room in your home office, it just brings a level of calm, but also a level of like refreshing. It's always like cycling the air and just bringing that refreshing air to what you're doing in your work. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that calm piece. So when we first started working together, what just kind of like clicked right away for you? Was there anything in particular that you just thought like light bulb moment?
You talking about when we're working together, like if I was stuck? What do you mean?
When we first started working together, so I guess a few years ago when we had first started, was there anything that just kind of like clicked right away for you?
To say yes for us to move forward together, or while we were working together? Like yes to move
Oh,
forward?
let's see. After we had started working together.
Okay. Oh, yes. That I need to know how to storytell. And so you get the brand books that says storytelling. I think the best thing is actually just learning from the person who's already awesome at it in a a way that it's not. So when we read books, I appreciate all the expertise and things do click, but however, it's not personalized. So working with you, one of the things that clicked for me was personalization. Same thing we do for client things. We have to personalize a lot of their processes. Like their marketing is unique to them. It doesn't mean they have to be on social media all the time. When they start out, it could be that they love speaking. That's their marketing piece. So then now we all know that. So the freebie will be from a speaking event, and then you will write the copy, for that, and it'll just, all of it makes sense. There's not going to be someone that's like, oh, I saw you on social media, but you're talking about speaking at this event. Like everything is in alignment. So I feel like the light bulb moment for me was definitely Joey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but the light bulb moment for me really was that it's personalized.
Yeah.
It is very helpful. Like first you think, oh, but if you really want to get fast results, don't. I appreciate templates, but it's not going to capture you and it's not going to teach you. But when I see you crafting stories and you taking the time to like really plan it out, it's so like the organization makes you want to cry. Like it's like so beautiful. And it's like you need that, part of your business. So I would say that was a light bulb for me. Even now, the clients see that they need that. Like, yeah, you know what? All these templates I've been trying to do, these plug and plays, it doesn't, it's not sustainable all the time. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, the personalization piece I feel like is so important, especially with, Chat GPT and copywriting with Chat GPT is like it's great for brainstorming, I think, and
yep.
getting ideas down. And then really the personalization is coming in with like being able to write the email sequences so that when you see your sequence, it just feels like that's me. That is
Yeah.
absolutely right there. Those are my stories. That is how I speak. And that is how we're attracting the people to be engaged in reading and wanting to take that next step for you. So yes for personalization. I-
100%. And I think even too, if I can add on to that, is that the email can be repurposed. So that's even a greater gift. You can repurpose in different ways. And the thing is that a lot of the women that we do work with, they have speaking, they want to do more speaking opportunities. And what better way is to look at their email, see the feedback they got from their email, and Joanne's already helped craft part of their story in there. So it's just definitely learning opportunities that you learn about yourself. Like, oh yeah, I should have said it in that kind of way. I like that. I like how that hit right there. I like how she ended that sentence. And that's right there is like, hey, this came from me, but she formatted in a way that is making impact. And that's exactly what I want to do. So I think that's even like another deeper level, to it. It's like
yeah,
personal, but it's also like, wow, I can kind of learn how to tell my story a little bit better so I can start practicing. So I can get those speaking engagements. So I can be a keynote and get paid all the monies. No, I was kidding. No, but really, you're making a bigger impact and getting bigger audience. But you're also not going to be resentful because you're like, oh, only ask for 1,000, and it's like, no, I can actually premium prices because I've invested in working with quality people, and I've invested in myself to take the time to learn from Joanne, and then I've invested in myself to actually put myself out there and then like learn the craft, and I think that's important.
yeah, that is brilliant to think about. Like the email stories it doesn't just live in email stories. It goes everywhere. It is also about, I mean, it's about visibility. It's about
Mhm.
being able to claim your story and elevate that story through speaking, through social media, through whatever avenue that is, and really be able to deliver it with impact. So I love hearing that. So what was the first small win you achieved from working with me?
The signing a client that they were like, oh, I already knew I wanted to work with you, but like your message, I can't remember exactly which one it was because it was about like heavy on mindset, and I really wanted to work with women that were moms because it's different, when you start a business. And Joanne, and that's another thing I love too, is that you started your business after you had children too, also married. So there was definitely a relatability component. We're in totally different areas though of the country, but I like that because I felt like you could really hear my story without judging it in a way like, oh, you should be doing, yeah, there's a time I got up at this time and I was always like this, and this. And then like when you have kids, you're trying to keep this routine. It's like, so explaining that in the story to really talk to moms, it was very helpful. And even though the first one I signed, she had a grown daughter, but she could relate to those times that she was like, yeah, I don't want to operate like that. Like I do need guidance. And that's when I was doing with you coaching. And now we do like a done for you approach, which we might do like a DIY later in the season. But however, with that being said, it is a different conversation when it's a done with you versus a done for you. Done with you is like, hey, let's do this together, you know.
Mhm.
And then, so definitely my first win was with when we did like the done with you. I signed a couple of clients and it didn't even go through the whole email sequence. They already was like, yes, please. Yes. So I was
Yes.
like, okay, awesome.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And I kept feel like that kind of goes into the next question of what was the first big win you achieved. Like that's that I feel like really is a big win. And that piece you're saying is like the resonance. Like how, is your message resonating and is it attracting people to say, yes, yes, I want to work with you. And I agree, like being an entrepreneur and being a mom is a very unique place to be with trying to, I want to say juggle and balance. I no longer use that word because it's no, there's no balancing. It's like an integration, like to figure out the integration, the flow of life now is it's kind of different every day. And I understand when, when a little kid comes in the door while you're having a call and they need a snack or something. I'm like, I get that.
Yeah,
I understand.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And so, I guess you might have already talked about like your reaction to that. You may have talked a little bit, but maybe expand a little bit on like what was your reaction when you were able to have your emails going out and having people say, yes, yes, I want to work with you.
So one of the biggest things was they weren't just sitting there and, you're just paying for a monthly subscription for people just to sit there and you're not giving them any food to take action. So I was feeling kind of guilty about that. I wasn't adding any value. They were on this list. They opted in for a reason. They got 2 emails from me, and it wasn't like a full thing to get them excited about their dream and their mission, and like what their life could look like, their business and personal life. So the with that in mind, there was some guilt around that. So when the email sequence came, I felt like a sense of relief, in a sense of, oh, they're getting what I have in here. Now it's actually in motion. It's not just staying in here and, secretly writing in my sketch pad all the time. Like, okay, I'm going to do this, email this, and then nothing takes action because where you get stuck, right? So that's the biggest part for me is adding value now. Like, oh, now I have emails to send out. Like, it's leading to something. It's not just random things. Even though you do give that space where we can send like random messages in between because it's a healthy process of how you say, hey, this is how you, because you give a strategy on how you should deliver these emails after they're done too. So with that in mind and sending them out, I felt great. I felt like, yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a leader in my industry. And it felt great. And then when I had my win, I was like, hey. So I was like, I already had a phone call with them. And then now they're like, within the email thing, they're like, yes. And actually, hold on. So I would say I was still using that email sequence even when I signed my big ticket client too. Oh, I forgot about that. So I did sign a premium client because I had my original welcome sequence with you. And I did sign a premium client. They sign up right away. And usually how I break the process up, I do a strategy call. And then if they say yes after I give them delivery of the year plan, then we take it on when they say yes, or they say no, we can do it ourselves. But she actually did this strategy call and signed up like the same day. She was like, no, we don't need a strategy call, just sign me up for a package today. So she went through that too. I forgot about that. Yeah, that did happen too. So I was
Oh,
still using
that's awesome.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the great thing about that's one of the great things about an email sequence. It's an automation that you feel like people are getting taken care of. It's not just like putting them into a like a factory mode. It's really like this automation we have intentionally curated and created for you to bring that value. And so people really resonate with that, and they're saying, yeah, yes, this I love the value giving. I'm understanding like who you are, what you're about, and yeah, let's definitely work together. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's me this is kind of going back to when we had first met. And we may have talked about this a little bit already, but what made you finally say like, yes, let's work together? I know that was a few years ago, so I wonder if you
Um,
remember.
yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I liked your personality. I liked that it was calm. And I was already like, I used to cry behind a computer at that time when it came to tech. And I was just like, I just need other help. Like all my brain was spent. Brain power was spent, and you just came in and you just did a really calm, like, hey, we can do this. And also, one of the mindset shifts I actually had with you was that I was like, I only have, and you were like, no, you were like, oh, that's awesome. That's what you have. Like, that's how many subscribers you have. And I was like, really? Because everyone's making me, like, I feel guilty. Like, I only have 200 subscribers. And you're like, no, wow, that's so amazing. You have 200 people you can actually, nurture and encourage. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So there was a little tweak for me in that aspect too. And that meant a lot. And that just made me say yes even more. Because that was in the discovery call conversation. I was like embarrassed. I was like, yeah. I was like, I only have this many. You're like, only? You're like, no. Like you get to talk to these people. These are 200 people that wanted to be on your list. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Joanne, you got that. Yeah, that's good. So yeah.
Oh yes, okay. I do remember that. And yeah, and it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot for a lot of my potential clients or even clients is, whatever the number is for their email list, they almost always say, I only, and it almost doesn't matter what the number is. And yeah, I just say just if you just if it's 20 people on your email list, imagine those 20 people in a room with you, physically in a room. They're interested in you. They want to come up to you. They want to talk to you. Like that 20 people, that's a lot. But when we start seeing it in numbers in an email platform, it suddenly has that distance and you're thinking, oh, it's only whatever number. It's like, no, but imagine those people in a room with you. I mean, that's powerful. So we're gonna wrap up with our last question here. What would you say to someone who's reading or watching this right now, and they're thinking of joining me?
Yes. So I would say I redid my makeup, and because of this lash was kind of down a little bit, then I redid my lashes, and then this lash still went into the same spot. So I would lean in closer and say, get closer to me, but I don't want to scare you. So I'm gonna say the the thing, if you are watching this or reading this, I would say the biggest thing is you will not regret it. I know right now you probably thinking in lack, like how could I even afford this right now? Let me just keep doing the templates. I want you to ask like yourself a really good question. Are templates working for you? Is it really capturing your voice, or you're still trying to struggle and figure it out on your own? If the answer is yes to that, I would definitely encourage you to take the next step to even get on a discovery call to just say, is this the right time in my business to do this? And then just thing we talked about too, like if you're like, well, I only have 20, like why would I do that for 20, emails? I had an email sequence from 2021. That same email sequence, I ended up earning over, actually ended up being over 20K. But the original package was 10K. But then when we were working through the project, there was an upsell option, and then it actually been a 20K package. So that sequence from 2021 still worked for me this season as well, and or last year, and it's still now, but last year. And I would say that same email sequence, your story does not change. Like it's already happened in the past. Joanne helps craft it in such a way to where it's reusable over and over again. You don't have to think, oh, this is just one and done. No, it's not. And a lot of times we think that when we think about entrepreneurship, like, oh, this thing didn't work, let me just go. I would say just kind of pause, reflect, say, okay, how many people do I have on my list? Is this the next step in my business? If you've ever done a lead magnet and you want people to book with you, this is the next step. You will not regret it. This investment is going to 10x through, 20x your return, and you will not be disappointed.
Thank you so much, Chris. I have really enjoyed talking to you. And thank you again for your time today and sharing with everyone your experience working with me and also now not only as a client, but now as a collaborator as well, because now I am also working with your clients. And so I think this paints a really great picture for people to see. And if they are interested in working with me, what it's like. And so I really appreciate you. I appreciate the time you've taken out and to get your lashes all perfect and ready to go.
All
So,
right.
well, thank
All
you again.
right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And Joanne, as always, I'm going to talk to you again like in a few days. But I appreciate you always. And I love your wisdom and your kindness and your calmness. And it means so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.